The city was alive with noise, but Daniel's heart felt strangely quiet as he walked through the streets of his old hometown. It had been 5 years since he last stepped here. 5 years since he packed his bags, chasing dreams that took him far away. 5 years since he left behind everything, including the woman he once planned to marry. Daniel had become successful. He now wore suits, drove expensive cars, and people respected his name in business. But no matter how much he achieved, something inside him always felt unfinished. There was an empty space in his heart that success couldn't fill. And he knew why. Her name was Sophia. The woman he once called his fiancée. The woman who held his heart with a smile, then broke it when he left without looking back. They had promised forever, but forever had ended too soon. As Daniel strolled through the park near his old neighborhood, he tried to shake off the memories. The children were laughing, people were walking their dogs, and the air carried the smell of spring flowers. It was supposed to be just another quiet evening. Then his world stopped. At the far side of the park, near the fountain, he saw a woman. She had her back to him, but even after 5 years, Daniel knew her instantly. The way she stood, the way her hair caught the light, it was Sophia. His breath caught in his throat. His feet froze. He couldn't believe it. She looked exactly the same, yet different. Stronger, more mature, more graceful. For a moment, he thought it was a dream. But then he noticed something else, someone else. Beside her was a little boy, maybe 4 or 5 years old. He held her hand tightly as he laughed and pointed at the pigeons near the fountain. His laughter carried through the air, pure and innocent. Daniel's eyes locked on the boy's face. And in that instant, his heart skipped a beat. The boy looked like him. The same dark eyes, the same curve of the lips, the same little frown when he concentrated. Daniel felt as if he was staring at a mirror of his own childhood. His chest tightened. His hands shook. No. This can't be. His mind raced with questions. Is he her son? Is he my son? Daniel stepped back, his heart pounding. He wanted to run toward them, to shout Sophia's name, to demand answers. But his legs refused to move. He could only stand there, hidden behind a tree, watching. Sophia bent down and fixed the boy's collar. She smiled at him with the same warmth Daniel remembered from years ago. The boy giggled and hugged her, and for a second, Daniel felt like an intruder in a life that wasn't his anymore. Every second cut deeper. The resemblance was undeniable. That boy was not just anyone. He shared Daniel's face. Daniel pressed his hand against his chest, struggling to breathe. Memories flooded his mind, his last night with Sophia, the fight, the anger, his decision to leave. He never thought about what she faced after he was gone. He never imagined she carried such a secret. His phone buzzed in his pocket, breaking the moment, but he didn't answer. His eyes stayed fixed on the two of them. Sophia stood up, holding the boy's small hand, and began to walk toward the park exit. Daniel felt a wave of panic. If I don't act now, I might lose them forever. Summoning courage, he finally stepped forward. His voice trembled as he called softly, Sophia. She stopped instantly. Her shoulders stiffened. Slowly, she turned around. Her eyes met his, and for a moment, time itself seemed to stop. Sophia's lips parted in shock, her face pale as if she had seen a ghost. The boy looked up at her curiously, then at Daniel, tilting his head with innocent eyes. Daniel's chest ached. He wanted to say so many things, but no words came out. All he could do was stare at Sophia, and at the boy whose face mirrored his own. Sophia held her son closer, her eyes filled with fear and hesitation. Finally, in a trembling voice, she whispered, "You shouldn't be here." Daniel's heart shattered. He had waited 5 years for this moment, yet nothing could have prepared him for the truth staring back at him. The past he tried to escape had returned, and with it came the biggest question of his life. Was this boy his son? The air between Daniel and Sophia was heavy, thick with unspoken words. She clutched the little boy's hand tighter, her eyes refusing to meet Daniel's. For Daniel, the world blurred around him. The only thing he could see was her, and the child who looked so much like him. Sophia turned quickly and began walking away. Daniel's heart panicked. He rushed forward, his voice shaking. "Sophia, please. Wait." Her steps faltered, but she didn't stop. The boy looked up, confused. "Mommy, who is he?" The question stabbed Daniel's chest. His lips parted, but Sophia spoke first. "No one, Ethan. Just, no one." "Ethan." The name echoed in Daniel's ears. His son or not, the name already carved itself into his heart. Sophia finally turned, her face pale. "Why are you here, Daniel? Haven't you done enough?" Her words hit him harder than any blow. For a moment, he couldn't speak. But the pain in her voice pulled him back into memories of the life they once shared, the love that once felt unbreakable. 5 years ago, Sophia had been the light of his world. She was gentle, kind, and full of dreams. Daniel had loved her laughter, the way her eyes sparkled when she spoke about the future. They had planned everything together, the wedding, the house, even the names of their future children. But life had other plans. Daniel had just been offered a big opportunity in another city, a chance to build the career he had always wanted. But the job required him to leave immediately, with no promise of return anytime soon. Sophia had begged him, "Daniel, please, don't go. We can find another way. We can build a life here." But Daniel was stubborn. His eyes were set on success. "Sophia, this is my chance. I can't throw it away. I'll make a future for us, for you. Just wait for me." Her tears had broken him, but not enough to stop him. The night before he left, they fought bitterly. Sophia cried, accusing him of choosing ambition over love. Daniel shouted back, blinded by anger and pride. When he left the next morning, he expected her to wait. He believed their love would survive the distance. He believed she would understand. But weeks turned into months, and months into years. Calls went unanswered, letters never came. Slowly, Sophia disappeared from his life, leaving only silence behind. Now, standing before her again, the past pressed heavily on Daniel's chest. He whispered, almost to himself, I thought you'd wait for me." Sophia laughed bitterly, though her eyes shone with tears. "Wait. Daniel, do you know how many nights I cried? Do you know how many times I looked at the door, hoping you would come back? You promised forever, and then you left me with nothing." Daniel's heart clenched. "I wanted to give you everything." "You wanted to give me everything," she cut him off, her voice shaking. "All I wanted was you. Not your money, not your success, not your future plans. Just you. But you left. You didn't even look back." The boy tugged at her hand, sensing her pain. "Mommy, are you okay?" Sophia quickly wiped her tears and forced a smile for him. "I'm fine, baby." Daniel's eyes softened as he looked at the boy. He swallowed hard. "Sophia, tell me the truth. Is Ethan, my son?" Her face froze. For a moment, silence stretched between them, heavy and unbearable. Sophia looked away, her lips trembling, but she didn't answer. Daniel stepped closer, desperation in his voice. "Please, Sophia. I deserve to know. Did you keep him from me?" Her tears spilled, but still, she remained silent. Daniel's mind raced back to the night he left. Could she have been pregnant then? Was this the reason she disappeared completely? The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, and the picture was clear, but without her words, it was only a tormenting guess. Finally, Sophia whispered, her voice trembling, "Daniel, some truths are better left buried." The words stabbed through him. He shook his head. "No. Not this truth. Not when it concerns a child. Not when it concerns us." Sophia pulled Ethan into her arms protectively. "I raised him alone. I gave him everything I could. You don't get to walk back after 5 years and demand answers. You chose your path, Daniel. And I chose mine." Her words left him speechless. He wanted to fight back, to explain, to beg, but guilt drowned every thought. As she turned to leave again, Daniel's heart screamed inside. The past he thought was gone had returned with a truth he could no longer ignore. And deep inside, he knew one thing for certain: the boy who looked like him was no coincidence. The night after their unexpected meeting, Daniel couldn't sleep. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling of his hotel room, Sophia's face haunting his mind. Her words echoed over and over. Some truths are better left buried. But how could he bury the truth when a boy walked beside her with the same smile he once had as a child? The boy's eyes, his laugh, even the way he tilted his head, it was like staring into a mirror of his own past. Daniel's chest ached with questions. Was Ethan truly his son? And if so, why had Sophia hidden him all these years? He couldn't let it go. He had to know. The next morning, Daniel returned to the park where he had first seen them. He felt guilty, but he kept his distance and followed as Sophia walked Ethan to school. The boy skipped happily, his little backpack bouncing on his shoulders. He spoke non-stop, asking Sophia questions about birds, about clouds, about everything that caught his attention. Daniel watched silently, his heart breaking. Ethan's curiosity, his bright energy, it reminded him of his own childhood stories his mother used to tell. It was like watching himself grow up all over again. When they reached the school gate, Ethan hugged Sophia tightly before running inside. Sophia stood there for a moment, her eyes soft but tired, as though the weight of the world rested on her shoulders. Daniel wanted to run up to her, to demand answers. But instead, he stayed hidden. Something inside him whispered that Sophia wasn't ready. Later that day, he spotted them again outside a small grocery shop. Sophia carried heavy bags while Ethan walked beside her. At one point, the boy tripped and nearly fell, but Daniel's instinct took over. He rushed forward and caught Ethan by the arm just before he hit the ground. "Careful, buddy," Daniel said softly. Ethan looked up, blinking at him with big innocent eyes. Then he smiled. "Thanks, mister." That smile, so familiar, so pure, made Daniel's throat tighten. Sophia froze when she saw Daniel holding Ethan. Her face turned pale. "Daniel, what are you doing here?" He gently let go of the boy's arm. "I was just walking by. I couldn't let him fall." Sophia grabbed Ethan's hand quickly, as if protecting him from Daniel. Her voice was sharp, but her eyes betrayed fear. "You shouldn't be here. Stop following us." Daniel's voice shook. "Sophia, please. I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to understand. I need to know the truth." She looked away, her lips pressed tightly. Ethan tilted his head curiously. "Mommy, do you know him?" Sophia forced a smile, brushing Ethan's hair gently. "He's just someone I knew a long time ago." Daniel's heart sank at her words. Just someone. Nothing more. Yet the way Ethan looked at him, comfortable, almost connected, told another story. That evening, Daniel gathered the courage to visit Sophia's small apartment. He knocked, unsure if she would even open the door. For a long moment, there was silence. Then, slowly, the door creaked open. Sophia stood there, her eyes tired, her face pale. "Why won't you leave us alone?" she whispered. "Because I can't," Daniel admitted, his voice low. "Sophia, please. I need to know. Is Ethan my son?" Her hands trembled on the door. For a second, it looked like she might slam it shut. But instead, she stepped aside and let him in. The apartment was modest, filled with warmth despite its small size. Ethan's toys were scattered on the floor, and drawings covered the fridge. Daniel's eyes caught on one drawing in particular, 3 stick figures holding hands, a woman, a boy, and a man. His chest tightened. Ethan had drawn a family. Sophia noticed his gaze and quickly pulled the paper down. "Don't read too much into that. He likes to imagine." Daniel turned to her, his voice breaking. "Sophia, he deserves to know the truth. I deserve to know the truth. You can't hide it forever." Tears filled her eyes. She sank into a chair, burying her face in her hands. "You don't understand, Daniel. I did what I had to do. I raised him alone because I couldn't count on you. You left me when I needed you most. How could I believe you would stay for him?" Her words cut deep. Daniel stepped closer, his voice raw with guilt. "I was a fool. I thought chasing success was for us, for our future. But I was wrong. I should never have left you. And if he is my son, then I've already lost so much time." Sophia lifted her head slowly, her tears streaming. She didn't answer, but her silence was loud. Daniel's eyes moved to Ethan's bedroom door, where the boy's laughter echoed faintly as he played alone. His heart clenched. He whispered, almost to himself, "I think I already know the truth." Sophia closed her eyes. Her silence was not denial. It was the truth unspoken. And Daniel felt both hope and heartbreak at the same time. The silence inside Sophia's small apartment was sharp, almost unbearable. Daniel stood near the window, his hands clenched, while Sophia sat at the kitchen table, her head bowed. Ethan's faint laughter drifted from the other room, innocent and unaware of the storm between the adults. Finally, Daniel broke the silence. His voice was low but firm. "Sophia, I need you to say it. Is Ethan my son?" Sophia's fingers tightened around her coffee mug. She didn't answer. Instead, she looked at the floor as if the truth were buried there. Daniel stepped closer, his voice shaking now. "Don't you see what this is doing to me? To him? I've been gone for 5 years, and I come back to find a boy who looks exactly like me. I'm not blind, Sophia. I deserve the truth." Her shoulders trembled. She wanted to speak, but fear held her back. At that moment, Ethan's small footsteps ran across the floor. The boy peeked out from his room, holding a toy car. "Mommy, can I show it to him?" he asked innocently, pointing at Daniel. Sophia froze. Daniel's heart nearly stopped. He knelt down and smiled softly at the boy. "Of course, buddy. Let me see." Ethan ran over and placed the little car in Daniel's hand. Their fingers touched, and for a second, Daniel felt something powerful, a bond that no words could explain. His throat tightened as he looked into Ethan's eyes. The boy grinned. "You look like me." Daniel almost broke into tears. He forced a smile and whispered, "Yeah, I guess I do." Sophia quickly pulled Ethan close, her voice gentle but firm. "Go back to your room, sweetheart. Mommy needs to talk." Ethan nodded and skipped back, humming to himself, the door closing behind him. As soon as he was gone, Daniel turned back to Sophia. This time, his patience was gone. His voice cracked with anger and pain. "How long were you planning to keep this from me? Until he grew up. Until he started asking who his father was. Until he thought he didn't have one." Sophia's tears finally fell. "You don't understand, Daniel. You weren't here. You left me alone when I needed you most. Do you know what it felt like? To find out I was pregnant the week after you left. To cry myself to sleep wondering if I should even tell you. But you didn't call, you didn't write, you didn't care." Her voice rose, filled with years of buried pain. Daniel's chest burned. "I cared, Sophia. I cared more than you will ever know. I left because I thought it was the right thing. I wanted to build a future for us. I was a fool, but I never stopped caring about you." Her hands shook as she wiped her tears. "And yet, I raised him alone. I worked 2 jobs, I sacrificed everything. And when he asked me why he didn't have a father, what was I supposed to say? That his father loved him but loved his career more? That he might come back, or maybe he wouldn't?" Daniel's guilt weighed heavier than ever. He pressed his hand against his forehead. "Sophia, I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know. If I had, I would've." "You would've what?" she snapped. "Left your job. Left your new life. Come running back. Don't lie to me, Daniel. Because I can't let Ethan believe in someone who might leave again." Her words shattered him. He wanted to argue, to defend himself, but deep inside, he knew she was right. He had left once, and that mistake cost him 5 years of his son's life. Tears burned his eyes. "I can't change the past. But please, let me be here now. Let me be his father. Let me be part of his life." Sophia looked at him, her face torn between anger and pain. "And what if he gets attached to you, Daniel? What if you leave again? Do you know how much that would hurt him? I can't risk his heart being broken the way you broke mine." Daniel dropped to his knees in front of her, his voice raw. "Then test me. Watch me. Judge me every single day. But don't keep me from him. Don't keep me from my own son." Sophia stared at him, her eyes wet and trembling. For the first time, her silence felt less like denial and more like surrender. But before she could speak, Ethan's little voice broke the tension. The boy peeked out again, rubbing his sleepy eyes. "Mommy, who is he?" Both adults froze. Daniel's heart stopped. The question he had been waiting for, the question he feared, came from the one person who deserved the answer most. Sophia's lips parted, but no words came out. Daniel's tears blurred his vision as he looked at Ethan. The silence stretched, heavy and painful, until Ethan's innocent eyes filled with confusion. And Daniel knew, the truth could no longer stay hidden. Sophia's lips trembled as she looked at her son's innocent face. Ethan stood in the doorway, his small hands rubbing his tired eyes, waiting for an answer that neither she nor Daniel seemed ready to give. "Mommy," Ethan repeated softly, his voice almost a whisper, "who is he?" Sophia's heart pounded painfully. Her throat tightened as she tried to form words, but nothing came out. For years, she had avoided this moment. For years, she had built walls of silence to protect him. But now, those walls were crumbling. Daniel, unable to bear the silence any longer, took a step forward. His voice was gentle, but full of emotion. "Ethan, I'm someone who should have been here a long time ago." The boy tilted his head, confused. "But, why weren't you?" Daniel's chest ached. He knelt down, lowering himself to the boy's height. His eyes watered as he whispered, "Because I made a mistake. A very big mistake." Sophia covered her mouth with her hand, tears spilling as she watched the scene unfold. Ethan's innocent eyes moved between his mother and Daniel. He frowned, sensing the heaviness of the moment. "Mommy, tell me." Sophia could no longer hold back. Her tears fell freely as she crouched beside her son and pulled him close. Her voice broke as she whispered, "Ethan, he's your father." The boy blinked. His little lips parted in shock. "My dad." Sophia nodded slowly, her tears wetting his hair. "Yes, sweetheart. He's your dad." For a moment, Ethan just stared at Daniel. Silence filled the room. Then, in the softest voice, he asked, "If you're my dad, why didn't you come before?" The question cut deeper than any blade. Daniel's body shook with guilt. He reached out slowly, afraid Ethan might push him away. "I wanted to, Ethan. I didn't know about you. I didn't know you even existed. And that's my fault. I wasn't here when your mom needed me, and I should have been." Ethan's small eyes filled with tears. His little voice trembled. "So, you didn't want me?" Daniel's heart shattered. He shook his head desperately, tears streaming down his face. "No. No, Ethan. I always wanted you. I just didn't know. If I had known, I would never have left. Never." The boy's chin trembled as he looked at his mother. "Mommy, is that true?" Sophia hugged him tightly, sobbing. "Yes, baby. He didn't know. I thought I was protecting you. I thought keeping you safe from disappointment was better than letting you hope. I was wrong. I'm so sorry." Daniel wiped his face, his voice trembling as he spoke again. "Ethan, I can't change the past. But if you'll let me, I promise I'll be here now. I'll never leave you again." Ethan stared at him, his little heart torn between confusion and longing. He hesitated, then whispered, "Do you promise?" Daniel placed a hand over his chest. "I promise. With all my heart." For a long moment, the boy didn't move. The room was silent except for Sophia's soft sobs. Then slowly, Ethan stepped forward and wrapped his small arms around Daniel's neck. Daniel gasped, holding him tightly, his tears falling onto the boy's shoulders. The warmth of that embrace was everything he had lost, everything he had dreamed of without knowing. Sophia covered her mouth again, watching as years of silence broke into tears and love. Ethan's small voice muffled against Daniel's shoulder. "Don't go away again." Daniel squeezed him tighter. "Never. I'll never go away again." The boy pulled back slightly, his little face serious. "Can I call you Dad?" The words nearly broke Daniel apart. His voice cracked as he whispered, "I'd be the happiest man in the world if you did." Ethan smiled weakly, wiping his eyes with his sleeve. "Okay, Dad." Daniel broke down completely, holding his son as though he would never let him go. Sophia turned her face away, tears streaming, her emotions torn between pain and hope. She had protected Ethan for so long, but now, seeing father and son together, she realized maybe, just maybe, she had been wrong to keep the truth hidden. Still, fear lingered in her heart. She knew words were easy, but trust had to be earned. As Daniel held Ethan, he looked up at Sophia. His eyes were filled with determination, not just regret. "I will prove to you, Sophia. To both of you. I'm not the man who left. I won't disappear again." Sophia's lips trembled. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to let hope back into her life. But her heart, still scarred, whispered caution. For now, she said nothing. She only watched, silently praying that Daniel's promise would be true. And deep inside, Daniel knew this was just the beginning of a battle, not for love alone, but for forgiveness, for trust, and for a family that had been broken for too long. The night felt different after the truth had been spoken. For years, silence had separated them, but now everything had changed. Ethan finally knew who Daniel was. He had called him Dad. And though Sophia's heart was heavy with doubt, she could no longer deny the bond between father and son. Daniel sat on the living room floor beside Ethan, helping him arrange toy cars into neat rows. The boy giggled as Daniel made engine noises, pretending to crash two cars together. Sophia stood in the doorway, arms crossed, silently watching. Her lips curved into a faint smile, though her eyes still carried worry. For the first time in 5 years, their small home echoed with laughter that wasn't only hers and Ethan's. Over the next days, Daniel tried to keep his promise. He didn't leave town. He called Ethan every morning before school, asking how he slept. He brought small gifts, not expensive ones, just things a child would love. A football, a puzzle, a storybook. But more than that, he gave his time. At the park, Daniel played catch with Ethan, cheering every time the boy ran faster or kicked harder. Other parents watched curiously, whispering about the man who appeared out of nowhere, looking so much like the boy he played with. Sophia sat on a bench, her heart torn. She wanted to believe Daniel had changed. She wanted to believe this new version of him, gentle, patient, present, was real. But memories of the night he left still haunted her. What if he disappeared again? What if Ethan's smile, so bright now, was one day broken by disappointment? One afternoon, as Ethan ran ahead chasing a ball, Sophia turned to Daniel. "You're trying. I see that. But, how long will it last, Daniel? When your work calls again? When life gets hard?" Daniel looked at her, his face serious. "I can't erase the past, Sophia. But I can fight for the future. I left once, and it was the worst mistake of my life. I won't do it again. Not to you. Not to him." Her eyes softened, but her guard remained. "Words are easy. Actions are what matter." Daniel nodded. "Then let my actions prove it." Days turned into weeks. Slowly, Ethan grew closer to him. At first, he asked simple questions. "What's your favorite color? Do you like pizza?" Then, deeper ones. "Where were you when I was a baby? Did you think of me?" Each answer from Daniel was honest, though often painful. One evening, Ethan fell asleep on Daniel's lap while they watched a movie together. Sophia walked in and froze at the sight. Daniel stroked Ethan's hair gently, tears glistening in his eyes. 5 years, he whispered, more to himself than to her. I missed 5 years of his life. His first steps, his first words. I'll never forgive myself for that. Sophia's chest tightened. She had carried anger for so long, but in that moment, she saw his pain as clearly as her own. He wasn't just asking for forgiveness, he was begging for a chance to make things right. One Saturday, Ethan held both their hands as they walked through the park. His small fingers gripped tightly, connecting them in a way that words never could. He looked up at them with a wide smile. It feels good, like we're a family. Sophia's steps faltered. Her heart raced at the word family. She glanced at Daniel, whose eyes were already locked on hers. He didn't speak, but the plea in his gaze was clear. Let me back in. Not just as Ethan's father, but as your partner too. That night, after Ethan went to bed, Sophia and Daniel sat across from each other at the kitchen table. The silence was heavy again, but different this time, less sharp, more fragile. Sophia finally spoke, her voice trembling. I don't know if I can trust you yet. My heart, it's still broken. But I see the way Ethan looks at you. And I see the way you look at him. He needs you. And maybe, I do too. Daniel reached across the table, not touching her hand, but close enough for her to feel the warmth. Give me time, Sophia. I'll prove to you every day that I won't run again. I don't want just to be Ethan's dad. I want to be the man who stands beside you, who never lets you cry alone again. Her eyes filled with tears. For the first time, she didn't push his words away. Weeks later, on a quiet evening, Ethan pulled them both to the couch. With the innocence only a child could have, he nestled between them and held their hands together. Now it's perfect, he said sleepily before drifting off. Daniel and Sophia exchanged a long, silent look. For the first time in years, hope flickered between them. Daniel whispered, his voice breaking, I lost you once. I won't lose you again. Sophia's tears fell, but this time, they weren't only from pain. She allowed her fingers to tighten around his. For the first time, she let herself believe. The broken pieces of their past could never be erased, but perhaps, with love, patience, and forgiveness, they could build something new. A new beginning.